time has come. We've got everything we need for a tent today, and we're actually going to work out how this tent is going to go. Oh dear, there's my tape measure. So I've got a tape measure, I've got a bigger tape measure, a knife, I've got scissors I need to get, I think they're in here, thread, which we don't need here actually, or basting tape. I've got some of this webbing, which will be for reinforcement. This is seam sealer for making your tape seams. I've got some clamps, needles, scissors, everything. So the scissors I'm going to need down here. So that's quite self-explanatory. Let's put these in there. I've got this 3mm elastic, which I'm going to hopefully make the attachment points out of. Maybe, I think I am. I've got this is the cheaper tape, it's not the Gorilla tape, but this is just to stick the tent down while I'm trying to size it. Now, in here is nylon rope. And the reason I've got this is twofold. The first idea was actually I wanted it as a way of getting the boat out on a slippery slipway. But actually, I'm wondering whether I bought one that's too thin. It is rated. Oh God, it's all falling apart here. It is rated for God knows how many pounds, but then you have to obviously be careful, don't you, how things are rated. There we go. But then the thought did occur to me that this could form a rope and a securing method. If you do a throw over triangle tent, you need to attach it. Well, we're going to experiment. We could attach it in here to these. I don't know if it's going to have the angle. It might slip off too easily. But otherwise, we're looking at drilling some of those into the hull here, which I think I've kind of accepted. Or we could drill them in here, but I think they're going to be too high. I think as the wind blows, you're just going to get a gap in here. So we need them further down, I think. Because of the shape of this, I think if you have them in here, you're not going to catch them at all. But there is another way we could use, which is having a line. So we could attach this line, for argument's sake. Well, where would we need it? Let's attach it to this cleat, just for now. Always do it the wrong way round. There we go. So let's just attach it to the cleat for now, and then put it in that fair lead, and then I'm going to come show you what I mean. So if we could somehow get a line that would attach under the boat like so, and get that nice and tight, we could tether the tent under here. However, this is nylon, it is going to stretch, but I'm not sure if that's going to be a lot of faff, and it's still not going to work, is it? I've seen other boats where they've tied it off here and they use the way the boat expands out, so it can't physically get pulled up. However, as you can see, this line has got a lot of flex in it, and because my chine is literally vertical, if anything it flares out a little bit, that's not going to work. So we're going to rely on it being here. So the only thing we could do, we could try it with a pre-stretched line. So I've got maybe one of my spinnaker sheets. We'll try it with that and see if that gives us any more joy. Set this up with my spinnaker, and this doesn't stretch at all. But as you can see, if you were to just put it under here, it just comes up. So, okay, we've tested that theory. That ain't going to work. We're going to need another way of securing the tents to the gunnels of the boat. And I think it's going to be drill through the hull and put some little tent, what are they called, fair lead hooks or cover hooks on there. It's lovely to see. It's lovely to see all the bees here. Oh, just seeing if they'll let me. There's honeybees. That's a little honeybee, that one, and then bumblebees. You can hear them buzzing about. nice to see the bumblebees, or the bees generally, thriving, because we need them. The other thing we've got to take into consideration is the rudder. Now this is in its raised position, but it is in the way, isn't it? Do you see? You know, I want the tent to go as far as the tube here, the traveller, and the mizzen mast. The reason for that is we can then have a door at the side here, on both sides. But that's right in the way, isn't it? Now, it also, I don't know about the height of it, because you don't want it too high, because it'll just catch the wind, and it'll also be just a hassle. So I think what we need is something that when I'm sat on here, it maybe just keeps my head. It's just above my head, so it's about this height. So I'm going to do that, and that would probably just clear this rudder as well. I think it's prudent to do that, but what we're certainly not going to be able to do is have it with the rudder in the, the up position. At the back of the boat, this is a mizzen mast. Now, I think the first thing we're going to have to do is we're going to have to just bring this mizzen in another furl, get this mizzen properly furled. There we go. And there we go. And then I think we're just going to have this around the sail. Now what we can do is put a little bit of chafing material in there, so that's okay. That's all we need to do. And then what I would probably do is just do a round turn and 2 half hitches here, so that's nice and tight. And then you can see, I think that is about the height we're looking for. So let's go and run this all the way to the front of the boat and see where we go with this. So what I'm going to do, just so I can't really have the whole roll to do this, otherwise we're going to end up dropping the roll into the water. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to measure from there down to the gunnel, which is 48, and then down to as far as we can go. So say 48, that's 100. So we're going to measure off, it says 146, 150. So I think at the back here, the tent will just come to here and come down. And I think if it's nice and flat, that'll be pretty cool. We could then incorporate, it'll make this shape really simple, just a triangle. I think if we can get it to somehow attach on the traveller here, it'll keep it nice and honest. Oh no, I just dropped that in the water. That's no good, isn't it? Hopefully it won't rust. There we go. So coming up to the front of the boat, this is where it gets a bit more complicated, because we do need the tent to come beyond the mast here. Otherwise we're going to have a tent kind of down here, and I don't know how that's going to work. So I think we're going to bring the tent to here, and again we'll try and bring it down the mast here. Now in this case it would be beneficial to have the tent kind of come down at an angle here. Let's see if you see what I mean, like more of an angle here, because we've got points here, we can tie the tent off to. But obviously that's going to be more difficult. And then we're going to also have to make a kind of a sleeve like that's on my boat cover that you can tie up round the mast. Now it won't matter if there's a bit of water dripping down here, will it? Because it's just going to go into the bilge. Right, piece number 3. we've done these a little bit long. Oh gosh. But I'm sure if we get these like this, I think that's about there. We'll start with this side. So we've got the first piece on rough. Got to be careful not to pull the string down too much. And that looks about there. I've just got this cheap sticky stuff just holding it. At the moment, I think we need to shape that a little bit better. So that's the next job, is to sort of cut that off, because then we know where it needs to be. You can see the chine. I think that's what we're going to have to follow. Now that chine is literally the level of the deck, I think, just above. So we're going to need to go, I would say, 1 inch above the chine, and then with the hem and what have you, that will give us a good guide. We can get those little hooks in quite low down. So I've used that chine and I've loosely cut it on the chine there, but as you can see, it's not easy. I'm just going to do that. I'm going to now tape that chine down a little bit better and just have a look if I can get it to stretch a bit more. And then the idea will be, we'll hem that as it is, and then we will start to stick that where it needs to go, and then we can do this side. So there you are. So that's a line. It's a bit of a rough line, but it is a line and it's following that chine. So I'm going to hem that now and get that side done. What I'm going to do is lay these out as they're going to be joined, and this is going to be the seam that runs all the way across. So the apex of the tent is like that, and I'll put some little sticky markers on there to know which way went with which. And we're going to do what's called a flat felled seam. Now what that starts off with is you sew over the top like this. So you overlap them and sew. So the first thing we need to do is get this basting tape so we can kind of stick them together. There we go. So I've just stuck that to the nylon. It doesn't stick. I've noticed nothing sticks to this nylon very well. So we can get rid of that for now. The next job is we're going to stick these together. So I may as well start from this side, and we're going to get them nice and straight and create the first sort of seam, and then we'll sew that. So that's stuck together. It's not like being stuck together. I hope we don't need a walking foot on the typewriter, the sewing machine. But we're now going to attempt to sew it. We don't have much room in here, but we'll do our best. Oh, this tape hasn't stuck together at all well. Well, when I say it hasn't stuck together well, it hasn't stuck together at all, as you can see. We're nearly at the end. I've just had to do every little bit by bit, slowly but surely. That was hard work. Bloody hard work that was. Oh, and this thread's all over the place because that's down there. There we go.